Hello, listeners with attitude. I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're continuing our journey through the Power Rangers franchise. And there's a really bad echo.
I'm not hearing anything.
Why is it? Oh, I see why there's a really bad echo. Because I had the YouTubes running in the background. So we're going to have to do that again. Sorry, Nathan. Hello, everyone who's watching live.
Hello, patron. Oh, wait.
No, we don't have patrons. Sorry. We just have
Not yet, anyway.
We have the faithful heroes of the wait, no, crap. Can't use that one either. All right, fine. Echo. Yeah, it's because I had the the thing, the YouTube video. The YouTube's playing in the background. I'm like, why is there a double set?
Wow.
Why is there an echo?
Isn't that the textbook definition of narcissism? You play yourself in the background?
Well, I didn't know it was going to happen, Nathan. It's okay. So let's officially get this started, okay? So that people can actually enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. This is why we do it live.
We'll do it live.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, listeners with attitude. I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're continuing our journey through the Power Rangers franchise.
In today's episode, we're discussing the comic book Power Rangers Turbo versus Beetleborgs Metallix.
Hello, I am Nukas, and I have diabetes.
No, I am Nukas. How dare you laugh at Nukas? I am hereby replacing Rito.
Oh, Nathan. Nathan. I did not realize I did not realize how poorly Beetleborgs has aged over the
years. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
we're actually talking about a comic book, but you basically gave me homework without telling me it was homework.
Oh no, all I said was, "Hey, check this out," and let the shenanigans ensue.
And you opened a can of worm tanks, sir.
I opened a gigantic can of worm tanks.
Shut up, your Nukas sucks.
Call me your daddy.
That wasn't weird, not at all.
Okay, how long are we going to do the shtick for?
I don't know.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You may end up regretting telling me to watch that, and you may end up hating Nukas more than Rito at this point.
You know, I don't know. I don't know. Rito does get on my nerves. He gets on my nerves.
Hey, Shane, if you're listening to this, if you ever bring in Nukas on Masked Rider or something crazy like that, consider this my audition.
Lord God, no.
Hey,
no.
I have recorded a script where Rito shows up in Masked Rider, the audio drama, and he makes a Beetleborgs reference.
Oh boy.
Because that's the kind of stuff that Shane does on that show.
Nathan, this is a live stream. We're doing a live recording as we started.
We haven't done this in so long. I miss it.
I know I've missed it too. It's been a little while. It's probably been about 2 months since we've done a live stream. And we've done like a live recording episode. So this should be fun. I hope the muscles still work. But before we move on with more of the shenanigans, we actually do have to acknowledge our friends in the chat. So starting with our friend Jake Hambrick. How are you doing, good sir?
joined
Good
the
to
Monster Island Film Vault Patreon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Jake, you're a generous gentleman. I almost screwed that up. Next we have Mr. Drew Dodgen.
My temp co-host on Henshin Men, and also patron of MAFE.
And future co-host of a future episode coming up.
Actually, our next episode.
Which will be sort of related to what we're going to be talking about today.
And yes, I guess we do sometimes talk about Turbo.
Well, it's because, hey, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Because Drew, like myself, has good taste and is a fan of Turbo. Next, we have Jeremy. We have Jeffrey Goff. Jeffrey Goff. Jeffrey, how are we doing? No one's turned us into Beetleborgs yet. No one has.
I am not a Beetleborg. I am Nucus.
Oh boy. Well, I have to agree with our friend Alex. Yes, I believe that is what your name is, if I'm remembering correctly. Our friend in Hawaii, aloha. Life is lovely. The shtick has gone on way long enough.
I don't know. Life is lovely seems to enjoy my shenanigans.
Alec. Okay,
Alec.
so I was close. I knew it was like Alec. I knew it sounded like Alex, but Alec. Thank you for that correction. Hopefully, I'll remember next time. My friend Adrian of Monsters with Attitude. How are you doing, good sir? Mr. I'm too good to talk to my friends while I'm on vacation. Adrian.
Wow.
Next we have our co-host in common.
There. Too used to actually saying it. Sorry.
Mr. Travis Alexander. Nathan strikes me more of a flabber than a Nucus.
Wow.
You know Travis. I was gonna say he strikes me more as a Wolfie, but flabber works too.
Oh, wait, do I look like Mark Lowry? Because that's who I thought played this character. I also thought the vampire was French Stewart from Third Rock.
Oh no, it totally looks like French Stewart.
It definitely looks like French.
Oh, he totally looks like French Stewart. It's crazy. I think that's all we have in the chat so far. So hope you guys enjoy this recording. I know a few of you guys have already have been working your way through Car Ranger. And if you have seen
Drew just finished it.
I know Drew. Drew has to be if he's going into recording with us and not watching Car Ranger, that's on him.
Spoilers.
Yes, Flabber is a knockoff Jay Leno.
Too. He does look like Jay Leno. And welcome to the new Beetleborgs cast.
Actually, I think, to be honest,
Big Bag Beetle cast.
I think Saturday night Flabber. Okay. Whatever. I still think Flabber's funnier than Jay Leno. Well, Nathan, it has like we talked about. It has been a little while since we've been behind the mic, at least on a live stream together.
For a live
power trip. We were just on for Kaiju Weekly on Sunday, where chaos definitely ensued. There will be no chaos on this show. There will be no chaos on this show because we run a tight ship here at the Power Trip. And speaking of a tight ship, we have some mailbag to read. I don't have
what's in the mail today?
Wrong show, Nathan. Wrong show. Anyway, we have some mailbag to read. This comes from our friend Tyler Caudell. I hope I'm saying your name. I hope I'm saying your last name right. This is actually an email that came from Tyler. So, Tyler says, "Hi, Michael. First off, I would like to say, as a fan of Power Rangers and Super Sentai, what you and Nate are doing for the fan base is awesome. Well, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that. In Lost Galaxy, I would like to talk about my headcanon for Kendrick's revival. You can mention this on the podcast if you want. So we are mentioning it.
Oh, yeah.
In the episode, The Power of Pink, Kendricks says, "Don't worry, I'll always be there." Then the pink quasar saber goes into the sky as Kendricks disappears. I know that the Morphing Masters now retcon it, but I took it as Kendricks disappearing as her putting her essence into the quasar saber. Since the sabers are so powerful, maybe they can give her another chance at life. And if you see in the last episode of Lost Galaxy, you see that Miranoi gets restored back to the way it was. So during that process, the pink quasar saber released Kendricks and brought her back to life. I would love to talk to both you and Nate about this whenever you have time to. So, Tyler, we would love to talk to you about that, but we figured this was going to be a good question or good comment to read out on the air, because I really am curious about Nathan's thoughts here. So, Nathan, I'll let you start.
It's a reasonable theory, I would say. It would make sense, because I think the last person to use her quasar saber was her.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it would actually be in line with what we see later with the quasar saber flying away, and then the ghost of Kendricks appearing to Corone in the next episode. So I agree. I do think it's reasonable. I don't know if the Morphin Masters entirely retcon it.
Sort of. I mean, I would take it as a retcon simply because
the only thing
Morphin Masters do tell us that they can bring back. That's the whole. They do retcon the idea. The one of the things that you and I complained about while we were watching through Power Rangers last year is that anytime there was a Ranger death, it never stuck. So that in Dino Fury, them saying, "Oh, we can set the timeline back and we can set things right by bringing them back to life." That was I would say that's sort of a retcon. I don't like that they do. I don't like that they can do that, but it at least makes sense.
Yeah, the only thing that fan theory that kind of bugs me about it is that it would have, if that was the case, if it was Kendricks' soul grafted to the sword, it would have been nice to have seen her a little bit more if that was the case.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, given the real life circumstances surrounding,
yeah, that's why they wouldn't have been able to do it,
right? Given the real life circumstances surrounding that death, it would be damn near impossible. I actually do like Tyler's idea that the quasar saber basically absorbed her essence and kept it in stasis until everything was put back the way it was.
Right. Well, and I suppose you could still work in things like the Morphin Masters and the Morphin Grid at that point. If you want to use that theory, because you could say that this was the method by which the Morphin Masters accomplished all of this.
Right.
It's like I said, it's reasonable. The Morphin Masters muddy the waters, but welcome to the Hasbro era.
I mean,
Morphin Masters do muddy everything.
It just makes me a little concerned with how they're going to be retconning a lot of other things come Cosmic Fury, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when they come to it. So anyway,
is that Tyler
thank you
in the chat there. I see. Just his Facebook user.
I don't know. Facebook user, please tell us who you are so we can give you a shout out. Also, speaking of shout outs, we have our friend Jamie from Scotland.
Around and away. Okay.
He's getting very tired of this, Nathan.
I'm Scottish.
I'm Scottish. Okay. Get in my belly. Wait, wrong. Hang on. Wrong franchise.
He's going to give us a 1-star rating.
This is, we're gonna get letters. Anyway. Oh, also, we have to give a shout out to the person that actually has made this episode possible in the first place. Our friend Silverback.
Yep, and I have the comic right here.
Yes, I've read the comic, so thank you so much. Please forgive me because I cannot remember your first name. I'm an awful host because I cannot remember your first name. I am so sorry. But thank you so much for helping make this episode possible. You were kind enough to send us this to talk about on the podcast. And for what little bit we've been digging, it's a pretty hard one to come by these days. Yeah. So,
in fact, we're just jumping ahead a little bit, but I double checked my archives, those big graphic novel collections that Boom put out that had supposedly all of the previous comics. Zach, that's his real name, Zach.
Zachary, thank you.
Right.
I knew I would for some reason I wanted to call you Jeremy. That might have been the name.
Yeah, but anyway,
I don't know why. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this right here was one of 3 issues of what was called Saban Powerhouse. It was a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 were both Power Rangers Turbo stories, and those are in the collection. This is not.
Maybe they
probably because of the Beetleborgs.
Probably, I would say. Probably there was probably some weird rights issues tied up in that one. So
yeah,
but yeah, this is going to be a good episode. So thank you, Zachary, for sending that to us and letting us do this episode, because it is the perfect, dare I say, je ne sais quoi episode companion to both Turbo and our Car Ranger episode that's going to be coming up later on, later next month. So. Nathan, unless you had something else, I think it's time to cue the epic rock music.
Nuka shall give you your plot synopsis.
Oh, God.
For the first time ever, the Power Rangers and the Beetleborgs meet face to face. There's big trouble on the way when the bad guys create a case of mistaken identity, forcing the Power Rangers and the Beetleborgs into an action-packed showdown. Will the Teen Titans figure out what's going on in time to stop the rumble? Probably not, in which case it's time to start choosing sides for the battle of the century. And I didn't write that. I stole that from the back cover copy because it was too funny.
Battle of the Century. Well, I don't know if I would necessarily call this the Battle of the Century.
No, what sticks out to me is the fact that they were called the Teen Titans.
Right. That's the first. Yeah, that's the first thing.
Because that's a DC comic book team. Someone is doing that because they know the comic fans are going to catch that. For those who don't know, the Teen Titans were a DC comic team that started in the mid to late 70s. They're really well known now thanks to an animated series they had in the mid 2000s. Right. And they were basically a team made up of sidekicks for all of the heavy hitters in the DC universe. So you had Robin and Wonder Girl, and a bunch of different characters. Starfire made her first appearances there. So that's why it made me laugh.
I don't know what you're talking about. So
you poor deprived child. Anyway. But anyway, I do have a fair amount of background I need to get through on this.
Yeah.
I don't have as much on the actual comic here itself, but I had to do research about stuff around it or in it. So since I don't think, Michael, that we have ever talked about Beetleborgs on the Power Trip before, and if we did, it was very much in passing.
It was very in passing, and we've probably talked about Beetleborgs, but not in.
Well, we would have for Wild Force because Forever Red recycled the costumes.
Right. Right, but not in any serious way.
Right. So for those who don't know, Big Bad Beetleborgs, or Beetleborgs Metallix in the second season, ran from September 7th, 1996 to March 2nd, 1998 on Fox. It was produced by Saban. Both seasons were based on the Metal Hero franchise, which was also made by Toei. So this, if you heard the Tokusatsu 101 presentation that I shared in the Power Trip feed, which I gave that at JFAX a few weeks ago, I talked a bit about this. So this was, like I said, it was another superhero franchise that Toei had going on. Season 1 was based on, my apologies if I get these names wrong, Juku B Fighter, which aired 1995 in Japan, and season 2 is based on its sequel, B Fighter Kabuto, which ran from 1996 1997. And then they ran into the same problem that they ran into with VR Troopers, which is that they ran out of usable footage because the next Metal Hero show that came out after that was completely different from what they had before that. So it wasn't like Sentai where you could reasonably jump to the next one. No, this was Metal Heroes run the gamut. They're all over the place in terms of design. And if you look up the Metal Hero show that followed B Fighter Kabuto, there's no way they could have made it work.
Right. Now, what I find really interesting about Beetleborgs in that era is actually, like, if you do some reading and some research on it, it turns out that Beetleborgs was actually getting better ratings than Power Rangers at it during its time.
Yeah, can someone please explain to me how Beetleborgs got better ratings?
I mean, it's
I don't get it, because Beetleborgs is really different from Power Rangers, because Beetleborgs is more of a sitcom than it is an action show. It's the same problem that Masked Rider had, but oh god, Masked Rider's even worse.
I've tried
to watch Masked Rider.
I was no. I was watching a few episodes of Beetleborgs to prep for this discussion, just because I had to refamiliarize myself with Beetleborgs Metallix specifically. I had watched a little bit of the original series a few months back, and I had to refresh my memory on what Beetleborgs Metallix, because I don't remember specifically these villains like Nukas and some of the others. I don't remember them at all.
I don't remember them either. I can tell you that Beetleborgs never interested me when I was younger. Even if I had tried to watch it, I don't think I would have found it all that appealing. I remember actually the first time I saw an ad promoting this show, with, saying, "Hey, this show is coming." It in no way told you that it was going to be anything close to a superhero show in the vein of Power Rangers. It was focused more on the kids going into a haunted house and meeting Flabber the magic ghost, who says, "I'll grant you a wish." And then that's when it ends. That's when the ad ends and says, "Hey, coming soon, Big Bad Beetleborgs."
Now,
okay.
Now, to our friend, because I wanted to bring this up really quick, because this is actually a good point about our friend Travis in the chat, mentioned that it wasn't so much the quality of Beetleborgs was good. It was actually that the quality of Power Rangers had declined at the time.
Well, I don't know about that, because season 1 of Beetleborgs was running concurrent, I believe, with Zeo. And so I would have agreed with that if it was Turbo. I mean, I'm sorry, Michael, but Turbo. It speaks to how terrible Turbo was if Beetleborgs is beating it. However, interestingly, despite the fact that Beetleborgs for a while was bringing in better ratings than Power Rangers, clearly Power Rangers has had more staying power.
Do you think, now this is something I was thinking about when I was watching a little bit of Beetleborgs. Do you think it's because they just sort of embraced this? They embraced more of the shtick, not they're not teenagers with attitude. They're children trying.
They're
to be
middle
superheroes.
Schoolers, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. it's like having a whole team of Justins. I think actually that's why they brought Justin in, was because they decided to make kids superheroes in this show. I will say, just from the handful of episodes that I've watched, it's at least tonally consistent. I mostly don't find it appealing. It's not a tone that I find appealing, especially since it feels like two different shows. Because
it's non-offensive. It's non-offensive.
It's innocuous. But my biggest gripe with it is that it feels like it's split into two shows, because all the stuff with the haunted house feels like it should be its own show. Because those characters have little to nothing to do with all the superhero antics usually, although they got a little bit involved in the handful of episodes I watched. They're not in this comic.
It makes me wonder, now that I'm thinking about this, it makes me wonder if those characters were not modeled after, or I don't remember which we don't have time to look it up, but if this were not a live recording, we could look it up. But it makes me wonder which came first. If say like Boo Berry cereal, Kellogg's Boo Berry cereal, or Beetleborgs came first.
I'm pretty sure Boo Berry was first,
because these characters feel very much in the vein of like a Saturday, not just a Saturday morning cartoon, but a kids cereal cast of characters. Does that make sense? Am I making sense when I say
right? That? Yeah, it does. Like, they're very zany. They're clearly based on stuff like the Universal monsters and all, but like I said, they're not in this comic, so the fact that we're even talking about it it seems a bit superfluous personally, but you have to at least bring it up. I will say this, even though I'm already seeing some people bemoaning the turbo bashing, sorry, you came to the wrong podcast, but
I'm here. I will say
this. I do think, given what I've seen of Beetleborgs and what I've seen of Best Rider, clearly Saban put its top tier talent on Power Rangers, because
absolutely.
I can't begin to tell you, despite how Turbo turned out, I still can't begin to tell you how anytime I watch those shows, I'm like, just the diametric difference in quality between all of these is just, it boggles my mind, because just to allay some of the comments that I'm seeing in the chat, Masked Rider is worse than Turbo. I will say that it is worse than Turbo. Oh,
that is true.
It might even be worse than Megaforce and Operation Overdrive. I'm sorry. Screw you, Furbus. Anyway.
Hey, we're not. This is not the no. If there's any redeeming quality of Masked Rider, we're not here to bash Furbus. We're not. This is a Furbus.
Tell that to Discotech, who advertises their release of Kamen Rider Black RX by saying it's Furbus free. 100%.
Well,
Furbus free.
Well, Discotech doesn't know what the hell they're talking about.
Wow. I hope they ban you from buying any copies.
Well, I'm about to ban our friend Jake Hambrick for saying the Turbo movie.
No.
I'm about to ban
all kinds of Jake. No.
Yeah, exactly. See,
no,
exactly.
No, my finger is straying close to the Ratmaster button. You
no, you are forbidden. You are forbidden, sir.
Nucus does not care about what you have to say.
Okay, before we move on, it gets a little bit too chaotic. We have to say hello to our friend Christopher Reiner. Hello,
hey, Chris.
Good sir.
Longtime listener and also patron of MIFV. Thank you.
Our friend Christopher Reiner says Power Rangers was not as fun as it had been starting with Alien Rangers. Power Rangers Zeo, while good, was not near as fun as MMPR. The later half of Turbo did start being fun again, which if you listen to our Turbo episode, you hear us admit, at least me.
I said the back half was better.
Okay. See,
I did say the back half was better. The back half is what keeps it from falling into F tier.
See, the back half and Divatoxic's front half.
The back half and also the fact that there's technically worse
She
Power
kn-
Rangers after that.
He didn't hear me, guys.
Huh?
I said the back half of Turbo and Divatox's front half is what caused it to not. There you go.
Hashtag nostalgia and corsets. Anyway, now on to the comic itself. I had, pardon me, you're about to get a little bit of a history lesson in comic books. Bear with me. Anyway, so this comic was published in October 1997, and it was one I mentioned before, was one of 3 issues of Saban Powerhouse. The other 2 were just straight up Power Ranger Turbo stories. They are in the Power Rangers archive collections. I checked. Hilariously, the one of those issues is advertised not once, but twice in this book.
They really wanted you to know that was coming.
They did.
Wanted you to,
they did. Now, here's where the lesson comes in, because this was published by Acclaim Comics, which was formerly and then later Valiant Comics. And if you're a comic book fan, particularly one of a certain age, that being the 90s, you know a lot about Valiant Comics. They're kind of a big deal. So
why are they a big deal?
Yeah. Valiant Comics was founded in 1989 by former Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Jim Shooter and entertainment lawyer Steven, I hope I say this right, Masarski. And their first title was Magnus Robot Fighter, which was published in May 1991. They have since published 81 million issues, creating the 3rd largest comic universe with over 2,000 characters. So they are 3rd only to DC and Marvel. That is no small feat. Now, reason why they are called Acclaim, and just to bring something up here, if you look at the Acclaim logo, for years, I thought the Acclaim logo, it was Acclaim with 2 Ks because, you know, it's the 90s and poor literacy is cool, as Linkara would say. But it's actually just stylized Cs. Whoops. Anyway.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So they were purchased by Acclaim Entertainment, Valiant Comics, in 1994 for $65 million. And Acclaim Entertainment was a video game company.
$65 million.
$65 million. Yeah. And then that's when they became Acclaim Comics. But Acclaim, the parent company, filed for bankruptcy in 2004. So, quote, in 2005, a group of entrepreneurs led by Dinesh Shamdasani and Jason Kothari raised financing and acquired the rights to Valiant Comics library from Acclaim Entertainment's estate, forming Valiant Entertainment, end quote. Finally, quote, on January 29th, 2018, it was announced that DMG Entertainment had acquired full ownership of Valiant Entertainment after already owning 57% of the company, end quote. So that is their current owners. They're still around. Some of their titles and characters, this is by no means an extensive list because they have a lot, include Exo Manowar, who's kind of like Iron Man, Rye, Harbinger, Bloodshot, which actually got a movie made a few years ago with Vin Diesel, Ninjak, and Turok Dinosaur Hunter. If you're a gamer, again, of a certain age, you might remember Turok Dinosaur Hunter. And also, fun fact, Fabian Nicieza is listed as in the comic as the quote-unquote president/publisher of Acclaim. And he's significant because he did write some of Marvel's Power Ranger comics, but he's most famous for co-creating Deadpool with Rob Liefeld.
Oh, interesting.
Which is significant for me because I now play Deadpool in X-Men the audio drama. Thank you, Carl.
Well then,
that is yeah, that's also good to know. So we got some more Power Ranger connections here. Yeah, so Michael, just be glad Deadpool doesn't crash the streams. I'm just saying.
I thank my lucky stars every day, sir.
Are they the Ultra Stars? The Stars of Ultra? Yeah.
No,
yeah.
but the only
wrong franchise. Anyway,
but we have to say hello to another Ultra Star, Rob Buck. our friend Rob, whose show you were just on the other day.
Yes, the Power Chamber. Thank you for having me on. I wish you could have been on too, Michael. We had a very nice discussion about the green candle, and I wished you were there.
Thank you, but I made a very brief, I made a brief and cameo, we'll say.
Yeah. Well, Rob threw me a curveball. Fellow Hoosier, I have to say, by the way. He only lives like 2 hours away from me. And he threw me a curveball because I thought it was just going on as myself. And then right before he introduces me, he says that he's setting his teleporter to Monster Island. Like, oh, crap. Got to switch to MIFV, Nate. So now I'm in character. Oh, boy. Anyway, so going back to this comic. Here's our creative team. I am so glad I dug around for this because I know the comic fans in our audience would have been yelling at me. And I am a little bit embarrassed that I didn't remember some of these names. But the writer on this book is Robert L. Washington III, who is the co-creator of Static Shock with Dwayne McDuffie and John Pearl Leon. And that was for Milestone Comics, which was an imprint of DC. And Static Shock is a pretty big deal for a lot of people. Do you remember there was a cartoon series?
I do actually. Yes,
it was actually part of the DC AU, so the same universe as Justice League and Batman the Animated Series and all of that. Right. Static even appeared in an episode of Batman Beyond. So there was a little bit of crossover there. And then our artists, our pencilers, were Howard Simpson and John Hebink. And they've done I think it's Hebink. I spelled it wrong. Let me double check here in the actual comic. Hebink. So I spelled it wrong in the notes. And both of them, from what I can tell, have done pretty extensive work for both DC and Marvel. You can actually go commission work from Mr. Hebink on his website right now, if you so desire. I found his official website. Our inkers are Rich Rankin, Rodney Ramos, John Floyd, Bill Anderson, Bob Almond, I hope I said that right, Charles Bennett III, and Kim DeMulder. Again, I hope I said that right. That is a lot of inkers for one little book. Yeah, that is a lot. And this is not. I mean, it's a 62-page comic, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, this is not a big book at all. This is not
it's bigger than a normal comic, but it's also in terms of page length. But as you can tell, this is not normal comic book dimensions. Right. This is smaller by far. Yeah, which was one of the things, because this right here is I'm sure the people who are listening to this are like, what the frick is this nerd talking about? But this is a normal comic book size right here. And, so it's pretty small, But anyway, so I don't know what's going on. So I don't know what's going on there. And then our letterers are Ken Bell and Graphic Planet. I don't know if that's a person or a company. And then our colorers are Dennis Calero and Atomic Paintbrush. Again, don't know if it's a person or a company.
We're going to go with company, I think.
Sure. Admittedly, they both sound pretty cool, especially Atomic Paintbrush. I like the name Atomic Paintbrush. Atomic Paintbrush!
It sounds like a attack.
That is what Nukas uses to do his art. I'm sorry.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, the shtick is going to get really old really fast, isn't it? I have a feeling.
I don't know. It'll just depend on how many setups I get. But anyway.
So Nathan, since there's no theme song for this, because it's a comic.
Right.
Would you like to sing us the Turbo theme song?
No.
Well,
do you want people to stay in the stream and listen to this episode? They don't want to hear me sing.
Big bad Beetleborgs Metallix. Big bad Beetleborgs Metallix. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, it is. Admittedly, it's catchy, but we're not here to talk about that show. We're talking about a comic, sir. Stay on target.
I'm on target. Well, okay. So when I started reading this comic book to get into our characters, so we have Turbo Red, Tommy Oliver; Turbo Blue, Justin Stewart; Turbo Green, Adam Park; Turbo Yellow, Tanya Sloan; Turbo Pink, Catherine Hillard. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that this is the original cast of the Turbo Rangers. This isn't, this isn't TJ and Ashley and Cassie and the
Well, I don't
and the team.
think at this point they had been replaced yet.
No, but it was just because every time I've seen because for me Turbo, I don't even associate Jason David Frank hardly with Turbo. I associate TJ with Turbo.
Right. Right. The one thing I'm a little bit confused about is figuring out the timeline for this, because they talk about how school hasn't started yet, and I'm like, wait. Yeah. So is this supposed to be after the movie, but before the show?
The series?
I'm confused.
I mean, that's how. Okay, so that's how I understood it. Because in this, Kat is a teacher. She's getting ready to, because
she's a student teacher.
Student teacher. She's a student teacher. So they haven't started high school yet. And then, if you remember, in Turbo, they're in the series. I should say they graduate. So this has to be between the movie and the series.
I mean, I don't know how important it is, to be honest, but.
But the timeline.
Then again, this starts in a very traditional comic book fashion, because we just get this big splash page that shows you this is what's happening right now, and then it's you might have wondered how we got here, and then it basically goes into a flashback.
But the timeline is a little
that's a common comic book trope.
But the timeline is a little mucked up, because if you remember from the show, they have not been fighting Divatox. They assume Divatox has been defeated, so Divatox comes back. The timeline is really mucked up.
Yeah, I don't know how canon this comic is. I'm assuming it isn't. Funny enough, this is the only official crossover between these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, I know Saban, I think, toyed with trying to do a crossover between Power Rangers and VR Troopers.
Well, it's the only
through the Gold Ranger, but that didn't work.
To my knowledge, it's the only official Beetleborgs comic, period.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to do a little digging to find out if there's more, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was more, considering how big comic books are a motif in there.
Mm.
I don't know. But this is also, and we talked about this in the Justice League Power Rangers crossover, this also uses the Stan Lee trope of when the heroes meet each other, they must fight first.
Mm-hmm.
And then they team up, because that's basically what happens. It's not honestly, it's not that unique of a story.
No, it's not. It's not. We've seen this story before in Powers, really.
I've seen it before in a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a very
because it's basically what this boils down to is Nucus and Divatox start talking, and they say, "Oh, you're dealing with an annoying team of superheroes. Oh, I'm dealing with an annoying team of superheroes." So they decide, well, why don't we
should team up?
We should team up. Let's make a shape-shifting monster, a bunch of them, who will pretend to be the opposite team and go fight the other one, and then we'll lure them into a pocket dimension and make them fight each other so we can collect their heroic energy.
According to our friend Zachary, he says, I've seen a cover of the Beetleborgs comic from Image, but it never happened. So okay, that might be what I'm thinking of. But to my knowledge,
considering how big comic books are as a motif in Beetleborgs, I'm a little surprised.
No, I think I'm a little surprised as well. And
especially since in this, the Beetleborgs say they've only seen the Power Rangers on TV, which, okay, if they're the same universe, I can go along with that. But then the only Ranger who knows that the Beetleborgs exist is Justin, and he says because he reads their comic books.
I read their comics, which is true.
Because the Beetleborgs have a comic book in universe.
Which is true, because if you remember, I think it was an episode of Zeo, if I'm not mistaken, you see Bulk and Skull in a lookout tower reading a Beetleborgs comic.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So all that makes sense.
Yeah. So, which I don't know. So that just makes it a little bit weird. And I was a little confused at first because when I started reading this, especially when you have the scene here where Nukas and Divatox meet each other, and she says like, "Hey, ugly, your transceiver wave is in my oscillation scans," and he says, "No, weak female, your oscillation scans are interrupting my transceiver wave." And I'm like, wait, are they? Is this like is this like a parallel universe, cross-dimensional thing going on? I don't know, because then they start acting like, no, it's not. So I don't know. Maybe it was because I just didn't understand everything that was going on, because I went into this with basically no knowledge of Beetleborgs, no real investment in those characters, and I have some investment in the Turbo Rangers, but that's about it. So I that's probably a dangerous thing when I've got an uneven level of knowledge here. Sometimes that'll just create frustration.
And as this comic does drop a little bit of wisdom. So this comic is wise beyond its years, I would say, because it tells us that when two evils this great do the same thing at the same time, it's like peanut butter and chocolate. It's like the peanut butter and chocolate
of badness. There's our episode title. When I read that, I screenshot it and sent it to you. It's like, that's our episode title right there.
Which I don't know. Are they trying to say that peanut butter and chocolate is a bad thing, or is it just
no? Have you not heard this phrase?
No.
You've never heard the phrase they go together like peanut butter and chocolate?
No.
You poor deprived child. Anyway, that's a phrase, dude. People talk about that all the time. So it's supposed to be two things that are wonderful by themselves. You put them together and they get even better. Come on, peanut butter cups.
Well, I know what Reese's are, Nathan. What I'm saying is I've never heard that used as a colloquialism before.
Well, it is.
Okay. Whatever.
I hope the chat yells at you right now.
I hope the chat yells at you, sir.
I'm just saying. So that's why it made me laugh. So now I'm sitting here picturing Divatox and Nukas as it's like a peanut butter cup because of this. So now the question becomes, Michael, who's who? Who's the peanut butter and who's the chocolate? Choose carefully. We might overshoot the PG-13 rating. I set you up.
Oh God! Okay. As my very wise sister once told me, it is better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I'm gonna say that Nukas is the peanut butter, because I'm gonna say that Nukas is the peanut butter because it potentially has nuts.
Well, Nukas is in fact horny.
Oh no, God.
I'm telling you, that was a mistake to tell me to watch a handful of episodes, because I was not finding the humor in Nukas until I watched the show. When I just read the comic, I'm like, yay. Okay.
But does watching the show make you enjoy the comic more? Like does it not?
It makes me enjoy Nukas more, I'll say that.
Right. Okay.
Because I keep wanting to flip through and just find random pages with Nukas dialogue and read it in the new Nukas voice.
Oh God. Oh goodness. Oh man. So it seems like the chat's having a good time tonight.
Yeah, they are.
Let's before we move on with our characters, we do have to say hello to a couple more people. that I see here. Looks like our friend Brendan of Autistic Lizard Productions. How are we doing, Brendan? It's good to see you. Peanut butter and chocolate jelly.
Why not?
Why not? You know
that is
what?
a variation
Sure.
on the idiom, as they go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Sure. I understand. I see that Brendan also likes the peanut butter joke. Okay, good deal. I don't know who you are, Facebook user. I've heard plenty, Michael. I'm gonna assume this might be my friend Joe, because it's definitely not Eric, because my friend Eric would be brave enough to show his face. But it might be my friend Joe. I don't know. If Facebook user, just let me know who it is so we can call you out by name. Rob says, can we just appreciate the villain group led by Nukas? Nukas is simply called the Crustaceans.
Which makes no sense because he's a dinosaur.
Because he's a Triceratops. He's a Triceratops dragon, and his sidekick is a bug lady. A mantis lady.
Someone at Toei must have seen Beast Wars.
Maybe. Or they just thought that crustaceans was cool. I don't know. I really don't know.
I guess. But yeah, just to finish the rundown of our characters, and then we'll dive a little bit more into the actual story here. So those are our Turbo Rangers, and then our 3 Beetleborgs, which is a little funny for me because there is a 4th Beetleborg. From what I could tell in the notes are a little goofed up here. Crap. Oh, stop it. Anyway, there was a 4th Beetleborg. It was basically like a 6th Ranger in the first season, but apparently he's nowhere to be found. I don't know. But
it was white.
Yeah, he was white. But anyway, so we have chromium gold Beetleborg, Andrew Drew McCormick, titanium silver Beetleborg, Roland Williams, and platinum purple Beetleborg, Josephine Joe McCormick. And like I said, they're a bunch of middle schoolers. They are young. They are basically Justin's age.
Yeah.
Which apparently was the appeal, I guess.
Which makes the dialogue between Joe and Justin make kind of more sense.
It does. I will say this. As much grief as I give Justin the character, dang it. What is Blake Foster? I will say this. Having watched a few episodes of the show, Blake Foster's a better actor than the kids in Beetleborgs. I'm sorry. I had a hard time with these kids. Like, you know what? I have a little bit more appreciation for Blake Foster now.
You're right. It's the white. It was Cam Tabor. Hi, Cam. Thanks for joining the stream. Says the white blaster Beetleborg. Shadowborg is still a fraud.
Yeah, I figured he was a bad guy because he looks kind of like... He looks like the Shadow Moon from Kamen Rider Black.
Also, Rob chimes in and says the white blaster Beetleborg, he was only used for the Shadowborg.
Sorry, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so he was a temporary member. Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not too sold on these Beetleborgs characters.
I gotta spend.
They just honestly, they just weren't working for me, and I don't find them all that appealing now, and I don't think I would have found them all that appealing as a kid.
It's because you have no soul, Nathan. You're a soulless ginger.
Would you have found this show all that appealing as a kid? Did you ever try watching this show as a kid?
I remember this show as a kid. Yeah, I remember.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it, but I don't remember anything about it.
Anyway,
I'm watching it now. I watched the first 5 episodes to get ready for this show, and I'm watching it now with I thought my face was gonna get stuck like this because my eyebrow was raised the whole damn time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it hasn't aged well.
No.
Yeah,
it has not.
I will admit, as much grief as I give Turbo, Turbo has probably aged better than this
But
show.
I will say we did get the return of a very endearing character to ourselves, to us anyway. Like a character that we find near and dear to our hearts, Nathan.
When
And
he's
that
not appropriating cultures.
and it is Jive talking Alpha, yo ranges, and it's like in the if you've never read this comic, it's the dialogue for Alpha is written exactly how that Alpha talks.
I know. I'm trying to find it right now because
I've got
I give them
it.
credit. They try to transcribe the accent.
It's on page. It starts on page 50. It's like, what's Tommy? What's up, Alpha? Yo, ranges. I've been trying to get you through this
dimensional interference.
Yeah.
Gotta stop fighting. Yeah.
Listen, that puncet dimension of yours is about to close. And then it's really hard to read because I can't do the accent really well. So you get the point. Jive Talk and Alpha 5. Or Jive Talk and Alpha 6. Sorry, Alpha
6. Yeah. Weirdly enough, we don't have any of the supporting cast from Beetleborgs in this.
We do not. I wish, honestly.
Yes, that is a very good point. That is a very good point, Jamie.
I like the Little Shop of Horrors. Like that was
the Little Shop of Horrors. What? What?
The Little Shop of Horrors. Little Shop of Horrors. Thank you.
Anyway, so as I was saying, no supporting cast from Beetleborgs, much to my surprise, but they might have been doing that. I mean, Alpha only appears as a voice. He's not actually on panel.
Yeah.
And we don't see Demetria. It was probably done for expediency, I'm guessing.
I would say so, yeah.
Or maybe maybe the guys at Acclaim had enough forethought to think, probably don't want those other characters. We'll put up with the robot just as a voice. But
yeah, maybe.
But okay, our villains here. So we do have Divatox. I'm still not a Divatox fan. By the way, I will admit, she's drawn very nicely in this comic.
Whoa.
Her costume colors are a little inconsistent, but
sure. Calm down there, Slugger. Don't get your I see a little sweat beading up on that old forehead there. Calm down there.
You might want to talk to yourself there a little bit, I think. But anyway, there'll be one concession. We have Nucus. Might be my new favorite character. And okay, I'm a little confused with the Ranger Wiki because the Ranger Wiki claims Elgar's in here. I did not see Elgar anywhere in this comic.
Buddy, he's on page, let me find it. I'll tell you where Elgar shows up because I have it pulled up here. I have the digital version pulled up.
Oh, you found a digital copy.
I did. I found a digital copy so I could have it as a point of reference for this episode. Thank you very much. Elgar shows up on page. Let me find him. Blah blah blah. Elgar shows up on page 9. He's in the top right-hand panel, right behind Divatoxic.
Oh, jeez.
The horrendous-looking old man.
I was going to say, he looks awful. That might be why I didn't think it was him.
Oh, no, that's Elgar. Yeah, Elgar.
That is, I'm sorry. Just to let everybody know, unless you want to screen share your digital copy, but I did not in any way think that was Elgar.
Thank you, Facebook user.
Yeah, Facebook, Mr. User, you are cool. But so Elgar, ugly Elgar has a cameo, a silent cameo. And then we also get one of the supporting villains, one of them from Beetleborgs. These are the kinds of names we're dealing with in Beetleborgs. Okay, in Power Rangers, we get villains with puntastic names, but I can accept that. Now we've got everybody with puntastic names in Beetleborgs. This guy's name is Les Fortune. And there are points in the show where Dukas flat out says, "Less fortunate." I'm like, that's not the name. That is not. Say it right, sir. Say it right, or Lester. And he's an evil comic book artist who
He looks like our Lester.
Yeah, he does. Who draws villains, monsters of the week that Dukas can magically bring to life. I'm like, I've seen this before. It was in Cyber Squad. Cyber Squad already did this, which was also done in Gridman. So Supra beat them to this concept. And Deke when they did Cyber Squad. And there's a story in Ninja Turtles, one of the early Ninja Turtles comics that got made into one of the episodes of the 2003 show, I think, where that was a tribute to Jack Kirby that was kind of similar to this. So like, okay. And if I remember correctly, I think poor Lester gets yelled at by Nukas to make the basically what he says is, you make the monster and then I'm going to send it to Divatoxic, who has a giant Xerox machine now, because of course she does. It's not all that interesting a looking of a monster, but it's just supposed to be a shapeshifter, so I guess it doesn't have to look interesting. And then she makes a bunch of copies of it with a giant Xerox machine, because that's what you do. Right? You have a giant Xerox machine somewhere in your apartment, don't you?
No. Why would I have a giant? All my notes are digitized, sir. Why would I have a giant Xerox machine?
Oh, because you're trying to emulate your favorite Power Rangers villain.
Anyway, moving on.
I don't know what's more basic, her or Zed. I guess it's basic for different reasons. But so I do agree with Mr. Reiner. Divatoxic does look like she's auditioning to be Wonder Woman.
So Beetle Rangers Turbo. Beetle Rangers
Those
Turbo.
are the monsters of the week. Yeah, the two sets. So we have Beetle Rangers Turbo and Power Ranger Borgs Metallix. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, although if you think that doesn't roll off the tongue, when we get to the quote-unquote Zords, I'm like, okay, this is full tilt parody at this point. Okay, this was the comic trying to be Car Ranger for a hot second, because we get to the end and they're freaking mecha combined into a ridiculous Megazord with, oh my gosh, this name. You want to rattle it off, or should I?
No, I'll do it because it's a lot of fun. The Ultra Mega Turbo Beetle Battle Zord with Turbo Ram Metallix mode. I don't think that's that funny, but okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
The name is what I'm laughing at, not the delivery. It's just it's like it goes on for days. Yes, he's the brother of the guy who helped the Beetleborgs get their powers. I know.
Art Fortunes.
Badum Tish, yeah.
Oh, with this Megazord, we'll say Megazord, and I use that term loosely, looks just like a giant Beetleborg. There's no real discernible Ranger-y things about it, honestly.
Yeah, well, and the one that the evil copies make just looks pretty generic too. Like, so this is what we're talking about here, and they both look really generic, like I said.
Right. No, it looks pretty awful.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, sorry, Acclaim. You're not knocking out of the park there. I'm sorry. Yeah. But it's barely in the comic anyway. It's only in it for maybe a couple of pages, and then it's done.
It's literally 4 panels.
Yeah.
It's in it literally 4 panels.
So I guess they just decided, we don't have to use it that much. So whatever, so that's, that sets the stage for you. And I mean, I took a handful of notes as I was reading it. if you want, we can go over those really quick if you want. We've already talked about a few of them. I found one typo, which is on page 6. It was supposed to be, it was a Nukas line. He was supposed to be saying monsters, but they forgot the S, so it says monster. And the editor in me is just like, wait, I stopped dead when I was reading it. I'm like, hold on. Oh, got it.
I mean, so do you think that I think we already talked about the villain's spy. Shoot, I can't talk today. Reminds you of the Cyber Squad, and
yeah, Lester does. And, it's the same shtick that he does in the show. But just to kind of go through some of the notes I have here. Oh my gosh, Tanya, you look awful on that first panel in page 9.
Oh my 8. God. Oh
and
my God.
Wait, which is, and I'm like, it's art inconsistency because when you see her on the next panel, she looks fine.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
But so she looks terrible. She looks like she has 2 lazy eyes and buck teeth.
So to be fair, none of these characters really look like they're supposed to.
They don't look exactly on model.
Right.
Except I guess Divatoxic and Nukas, but it's a little easier with them because they look more comic booky. But yeah, sorry, Tanya, you're not working there.
Yeah,
you're not working there. Now, I will admit there are some comic book tropes that are used in here with the layouts that I really like. If you go to page 13, I do love these side by side panels for both Nukas and Divatox when they're talking to each other and they make the agreement that they're going to work together, and then both of them think at the same time because they have the same thought bubble in the middle of the 2 panels for them, and it's this side by side, so it's one, it's the 2 sides of their faces, and they're both thinking the same thing, which is, after that I can betray you.
Yes.
I was like, okay, that's some good use of the comic book medium, so I do like that.
Right.
Admittedly, Divatox has a bit of a funny line where she talks about making Turbo Ranger toast and Beetleborg borscht.
Beetleborg borscht.
There you go.
I mean, the art is good. Like it's not.
The art is pretty decent. Lester looks much less psychotic in this, admittedly.
Yeah. So, do you remember if Cat did Cat have a bow in Turbo?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think Cat had a bow in Turbo. I think that was a mistake, but that's neither here nor there. I guess. Right.
Yeah. And then we have the comic shop where the Beetleborgs hang out is called Zoom Comics. And I'm like, if Boom could have actually reprinted this, it would have been funny if they changed it to Boom or Zoom Studios, just to be funny.
Zoom Studios,
basically,
I did read that, and I'm wondering. It made me wonder how long Boom has been around.
Don't tempt me to look it up.
We don't have time to look it up. We don't have time to look it up.
Yeah, we don't have time to look it up. Someone will probably tell us in the chat. So just someone tell us in the chat. Yeah. But then we get to the first major plot point, I'll say, of this story, which is the fake Power Rangers show up at Zoom Comics to rob it. Because they just know that the Beetleborg kids are there. And then we get to see that the Beetleborg kids can turn into bugs. It's one of their things.
Yeah.
And they have some civilian powers, which we kind of get to see them use
a little bit.
And then
with Joe, especially with Joe, especially.
Yeah. And then after that, we see what's going on at the same time, which is the fake Beetleborgs pop out of a portal to pick a fight with the Rangers who are trying to have a nice little picnic in the park. Don't you hate it when the supervillains crash your picnic in the park?
I did like this line though, or it wasn't. Sorry, I take that back. It wasn't a line; it was a caption. It says, "As justice and heroism cry bitter tears, evil laughs." I did like that. That's really good.
The purple prose.
Evil. Evil laughs. Thank you, Chris. Boom Comics was founded in 2005. So that was
2005. Okay, there you go.
Gotcha.
There you go. So I will admit there's some nice progression here. I like the parallelism. And then we get to page 22 where both of the teams morph. And why are the Rangers terrifying? They look like they have been possessed by what was the dang it, the demon lords in Lightspeed Rescue.
Oh,
It's Queen Banshira, but what was the other guy's name?
Diabolico.
Diabolico. Why do they look like they've been possessed by Diabolico? Why did they white out their eyes?
I don't know, but that's really freaking
But
creepy.
I see that and I was horrified. I'm like, God, they want to eat my soul. Why? Why did you do that, Acclaim? Why?
Poor Adam. Poor Adam looks the most evil of among them, I think.
Well, it doesn't help that I think that there's this line going down his face that I think is supposed to be a cheekbone or something, but he looks like he has
it looks like a scar.
And they're all holding up their fist. Like, here, this is what it looks like. They're all holding up their fists, and I'm like, God, no. Tell me Oliver wants to eat me.
Earth's heavy metal heroes are summoned, while at the same moment, another gathering of Earth's mightiest heroes. You mean the Avengers?
I was going to say, guys.
Shifts into turbo.
So we have the Teen Titans on the back. We have Earth's mightiest heroes in here. Can you tell this was made by people who know their comics?
Okay. I'm gonna share my screen just for shits and giggles here.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean. Okay, well, I'll put an explicit warning on this. I found.
I give you the sound effects so you can to make editing easier, but whatever.
I found the panel. I found the panel that I believe that our co-host in common, Badump Tish, would love the most. And I think you're going to know which one I'm talking about. And I don't know how I feel about it. Because Travis likes to make weird butt jokes. And okay. So I will hang on. I want to give these villains credit. These villains were able to do something that seemingly no other villains were able to do ever in Power Rangers. And that's hit the Rangers while they're in the middle of their morphing sequence.
Yes, they did that. I did remark about that. Do you realize these artists, something's wrong with these artists with this panel.
Oh, does it? Because it looks like the one is coming out of because
no.
The lasers are... What?
Which Ranger is that?
Oh, that's Justin. Yeah, I know. I understand. Yes, I understand I understand that. Like that's really weird. That's really weird. But I get it. I get it. I just made the joke because our friend
I know, but still, I'm just like, wait a minute. Just dawned on me that one's blue.
But I'm just saying that our friend Travis likes to make butt jokes all the time, and so this would be a panel that I feel like he would really grip onto.
You are one horrible joke away from a visit from Rito. I'm telling you right now.
I mean, look at the panel. Look at behind, but look in front of Justin. It looks like chicks got laser boobs.
Wow. Again, you hate being called a dude, bro?
Oh God.
Yeah. But then we get to a wonderful inconsistency because the Beetleborgs complain about how they're getting double teamed. And then the Rangers are like, we don't double team. I'm like, the girls were double teaming somebody a second ago. Y'all a bunch of liars.
Oh,
consistency. Goodness. Thy name is not Turbo.
Oh, Lord. I agree with Cam. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Oh, God. All right. So I gotta get this.
will have none of your shenanigans.
I've got to get this off screen because it's making me. It's really unsettling me. It's making me very, very unsettled. Very unsettled.
Quite.
Yes, quite. Yes, quite. Yes, quite. So, is there anything else that we want to bring up specifically about this comic, or did we have? I think we had a little bit of a thematic discussion.
I did put. I think I'm looking at. Oh, I do want, before we get into anything like that, I did want to bring up that the way that the comic ends is kind of meta. The closing line. Wow, you got some Turbozords blazing by your apartment there.
Oh yeah, the cops
but anyway, so the final panel of this comic, so you got all of our heroes in their mecha driving away through a portal, and one of them says, "Do you think we'll ever meet them again?" And Justin says, "I'm not sure, but we can always collect their comic books." And then there's a narrative caption that says, "And thank goodness, so can we."
It's a little metatextual, yeah.
A little meta. But if I had to pick a theme, it's the obvious one that we've already kind of talked about.
The power of friendship.
No.
Oh.
Wow, you made the joke instead of me. No, because they talk about cooperation and teamwork. So I'm like, okay, fine. Cooperation, I guess. It's not so much teamwork as it is cooperation.
Hang on. I do want to back up 1 second because they dropped that subplot with Joe from the Beetleborgs pretty quickly about her being nervous about participating.
Oh yeah.
They dropped it like really quick. I feel like they did not even acknowledge it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Whatever. I just wanted to mention that they kind of dropped it.
I mean, the ending of this comic is really fast. We literally go from giant mech fight to villains yelling at each other to everyone saying goodbye and going through a portal in about not even 4 pages, 3 pages.
About 3 pages, 4 panels. About 4 panels, yeah.
No, it's more panels than that, but
you sure?
Yeah,
no.
1, 2, 3, 5 panels. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So one more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ranges,
so it ends quickly.
Ranges, Beetleborgs. That last explosion opened up a new teleportation portal. All the energy drained into it. I don't know.
I didn't realize Alpha 6 was from Chicago.
I'm just making shit up now at this point.
Anyway, all of the dragon daggers. Anyway, so yeah, if I had to pick a theme, it would be cooperation.
Yeah,
because we start off with the heroes distrusting each other, being manipulated, and then they're like, "Oh wait, we should be friends and fight the bad guys."
Oh, the chat is being very inappropriate right now, so I don't want to even acknowledge it at the moment. So.
Yes. Again,
the chat
stay on target.
The chat is being very uncooperative.
But what do you think? Am I onto something there?
Yeah, I mean, nothing deep. I mean, nothing that we can.
What were you expecting from this? I mean, this is about as by the numbers a crossover as you can get.
I mean, I was kind of hoping that it would be very similar to Going Green, where we actually were able to get a
the chat is working very hard to distract you.
A substantive discussion a substantive discussion out of that comic. The chat is working very hard. Cam, I will not acknowledge you.
Oh no, he has morphed into Ego Ranger.
Oh boy. I know, Christopher. Chris, I started it. You're right. I'm trying to land the plane, guys. I'm trying to land the plane. Oh boy. But no, I just don't think there's really a whole lot to mine there. Not really.
Not really.
I just don't think there's a ton, because like the theme of cooperation, it's just like it's okay.
I mean, it's right up there with when we talked about teamwork for Ninja Steel. It's just not a whole lot there. So yeah.
Yeah.
They stop bickering with each other and they help each other out and they beat the bad guys, get out of the pocket dimension. Yippee skippy.
Yay. Peanut butter and jelly. Peanut
butter and chocolate of badness or goodness or heroism or something. Anyway, yeah. And they bond with each other. You know, the girls are like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And
yeah, they get the obligatory hug at the end, you know?
Yeah, they do. And yeah, all the boys bond pretty well and stuff like that. They have a few moments where they just stop fighting and they're like, hey, let's all be nice to each other.
And Elgar's in the back saying, what's wrong, Auntie D? Oh, boy.
My audition for Wonder Woman didn't go well. I lost it to Gal Gadot. Can you believe it?
I can believe it. Gal Gadot is a beautiful woman.
Oh,
anyway,
you know, if someone wanted to be absolutely insane and do a new movie version of Turbo and actually bring Divatox back, and they cast Gal Gadot, I might forgive that character.
Gal Gadot. Yeah, absolutely.
I actually might forgive the character at that point.
Yep, for sure. I
was like, okay, I can't argue. I can't. No.
Let's see. One Facebook user. I remember liking Turbo as a kid more than Mighty Morphin movie. Actually,
oh my gosh,
that's a hot take. That's a hot take.
That is the second one we've gotten in this stream.
That's a hot take. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's a hot take. Oh boy. So Nathan, that was the Power Rangers Turbo versus the Beetleborgs Metallix comic.
Thank you again to Silverback for making us aware of this, and
thank you again to
Zachary.
Yes, Zachary. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that. Like we sincerely, we really appreciate that. We're fooling around, but we would not be able to do this live stream without your help. So we do appreciate it. Nathan, closing thoughts. Are we doing It's Morphin time? What are we doing here?
I don't have to play the sounder unless you really want the sounder.
What about, does everyone want this? Yeah, let's do the sounder. Okay, we'll do the sounder. Let's do the shtick. Since we didn't do the awards, let's do we can do It's Morphin time. We'll do that. Go, Power Rangers! And this is the part of the show in 60 seconds or less where we give our final thoughts on a comic or TV series that we'll be discussing for this episode. So, Nathan, do you have your stopwatch ready?
Hold on.
You know I'm not cutting any of this out, right? This is just
all right. I'm ready.
This is going to go up as is. Okay, let me.
On your mark, get set, go.
All right. So this is completely harmless. If you are, this is pure nostalgia and peanut butter and chocolate sweetness. That's all it is.
And corsets.
And corsets and
Nukas.
That's all this really is. This thing lives in a time capsule. I think
it really does. However, it is very difficult to find and very expensive.
Very.
So I don't think it's worth the astronomical prices that are being asked for it. If you go looking for it, I'm guessing, like I said, it's not in the Boom Studios archives, probably because of rights issues over the Beetleborgs characters, because they got everything else.
Yeah.
those other two magazines. So I would recommend doing what Michael did, find a digital copy so you don't have to spend a gazillion dollars.
In fact, I may actually post the digital copy in the chat right now for everyone to look at if they want to see it for themselves and time.
Yeah.
So, um, so that was our discussion on Power Rangers Turbo versus the Big Bad Beetleborgs Metallix comic. Hope you guys enjoyed that discussion. Sorry it wasn't as substantive as we typically get, but really there's just not a ton to.
There's just not a lot to go off of.
There's not a lot to mine out of this one, guys.
It's entertaining, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's entertaining as all hell, and you get to see some characters, some beloved characters, and some unbeloved characters that you may or may not like. But all things considered, I don't regret reading it.
No, I don't either. Especially because I kind of have a new favorite character. But
yeah, I don't regret reading it at all. I'm glad that I got the opportunity to read it and actually enjoy it for what it was. It was a breezy. I think it took me maybe 30 minutes to read through it, if that, and then probably obviously we got to take notes for this episode, but maybe like I spent maybe 45 minutes or so with it. But yeah, it was a breezy little read. If you got time, I actually posted a link to where you can find a digital on someone actually posted the copy, the scans of the book online. So if you want to read it for yourself, by all means do. I think it's worth checking out if you want to. It's a lot of fun. So yeah. So Nathan, do you want to tell the listeners with attitude what they can expect for the next episode?
Well, staying on theme, even though we #don't talk about Turbo, we just did right now, and now we're getting to Turbo's source material with Gekyuso Sentai Car Ranger. I am down to the last 3 of 8 discs on this show. So the Shout Factory set. I'm splitting my time between that and watching it on Tubi. And I'm going to save all of my thoughts for the episode. That's all I'm going to say right now. I'm going to save it all for there. And we will be joined by Drew Dodgen, my temporary co-host on Henshin Man, but most notably the co-host of the Cellcast, an animation podcast. So it should be fun. He's already finished it. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be a fun episode. What do you think?
I think it's gonna be a good time. I really enjoyed Car Ranger when I first watched it. I've enjoyed Car Ranger what I've watched of it again so far for the upcoming episode. I'm looking forward to talking to Drew. I really loved yours and Drew's dynamic on Henshin Men. Drew's a lot of fun. But outside of that, I want to save thoughts for when we're on stream together.
For sure. And then after that, we'll have another comic book episode, and this one is a little bit of a story. This was originally not on our list. It was originally, I thought, going to be a Henshin Men episode, but then things got shuffled around and changed around a little bit for the schedule for this show and for Henshin Men as well. So I ended up getting moved over to this show. And I was hesitant to have it on Power Trip and do it on Henshin Men, because I thought it was a better fit there, because this is technically on the fringes of being connected to Power Rangers, in my opinion. But we will be talking about a manga, and it will be Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, the original manga for the original Super Sentai, which was written and drawn by Shotaro Ishinomori.
Which will be a really fun book. I got my copy, Nathan. Don't worry, I've got my copy.
It's a tome. It's 400 pages.
It's a lot. I think I can get it. I think I'm going to try to get it done in a weekend. just
Mhm.
try to just try to get it done, like half of it on Saturday, maybe the other half on Sunday or something. I don't know yet, but it looks like a fun read.
Mhm. Yeah, I've read it before. I'll be rereading it for that episode, so
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to say the least, because if you're used to newer Sentai series or you're used to Power Rangers and you read this, and you're going to be caught off guard a little bit because it's really different. It creates some of the tropes, but some of the tropes aren't there yet.
Yeah.
As usually happens when it's the first of something.
Right. Exactly. So looking forward to that episode, and just a little bit of housekeeping. If you guys want to submit any comments, questions, emails, what have you, to the show for us to read, we're getting a little low on mailbag stuff. So I think we've covered all the mailbag stuff up to this point. I think we've been trying to work through that. But if you guys have any questions, comments, tweets, emails, what have you, you want to send us, we will definitely read that out on a future episode of the show. So, Nathan, you have your power blessing.
Right.
I have
You
mine.
have yours.
I have mine. Oh yeah, I have mine.
Now let's hopefully the peanut butter and chocolate of badness is such an obvious choice. I know you probably got that one.
Actually, no, that is not.
Okay, then I'm going to go with something along those lines.
That is not mine. So
Okay.
sorry. Somebody keeps trying to call me. Stop it. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't screw up my recording. Daggone it.
Your lighting is going crazy. I can tell you that.
It's really starting to piss me off. It's really starting to piss me off. Like, people keep trying to call me, so I'm going to have to. That's what I get for not putting. I'll have to probably cut that out. I was gonna keep. Daggone it!
What?
Trying to freaking call me. All right, let's wrap this up, because people try to. I don't.
It better be the girlfriend.
No, it's not.
Work?
No, it's my friend Tim. They keep trying to freaking call me. Okay, let's.
Okay. I will call him Tim.
I will tell him in a moment. Okay, so I actually have my power blessing.
Okay, who closed the episode out the last time?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I did.
Did you?
I don't know. You can close this out. I don't.
I'll close it out. So I have to go first. All right. Lead us into the closing then.
Okay. All right. And with that, listeners with attitude, may you never have to.
Wait, I thought I was going to go first. So I can say, and may the power protect you.
Okay, you go first.
Okay.
All right.
We got a system, man. All right.
I'm all screwed up because people are trying to freaking call me.
All right. Lead us in.
Oh, okay. I am. So, Nathan, this has been a fun recording, but as always, we have to say our power blessing. You go first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to go first. Duh.
Oh, I was waiting. I thought you were going to lead me in a little bit more strongly than that. All right, here we go.
That's fine.
All right, here we go. May you enjoy the peanut butter and chocolate of badness.
And may you never have to eat Turbo Ranger toast and Beetleborg borscht.
And may the power protect you. Nucus declares it.
Oh. Anyway. Boy, that was chaotic. Dang you,
So
Tim.
says Nukas.
Damn it, Tim. Ah!
Curse
Okay.
you, Tim.
Curse you, Tiny Tim.
Where is this Tim? Nukas shall find him. Nukas will feed him to his, what are they called again? His worm tanks.
His wiggly worm tanks. Anyway.
They are not wiggly. They are quite firm.
Anyway. No. I'm not taking the bait. As much as I would, I'd actually planned on sticking around and chatting with everybody, but since I just got like
Since
8,
Tim. Oh,
since
we have a smiley face on the chat. That's new.
Oh,
I have no idea what that means.
Oh,
I've never seen
what?
that.
It's coming from Facebook reactions, man. Come on, get with the times.
Oh,
get with the times.
Okay.
Since I just got 8 phone calls, I want to go find out
From
what the hell from Tim. I'm gonna go find out what the hell Tim wants. So I was gonna stick around and chat with everybody, but I'm actually gonna call it a night. Nathan, are you gonna stick around or?
I mean, I can. I mean, if anyone wants to chat for a little bit here, I need to plug the computer in here. I'll stay. If people want to hang out, I'll stick around till about 9, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go watch some more Car Ranger because I got to make sure I'm ready for that recording.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go find out what the hell everyone's so freaking urgent about.
And I mean, if you figure it out before 9 o'clock, feel free to drop back in.
All right, I will leave you adieu. Oh, you'll have to grab. I mean, obviously, you'll have to grab the recording whenever,
right?
Whenever it's done. I hope you made a backup just in case.
I always make a backup, sir.
All right. Bye, guys. Listeners with attitude. I'll talk to you soon.
Right. Okay, so who do we still have after all that madness? Who's still in the chat? Still got a handful of people there. So I know Mr. Reiner is still there. At least I'm guessing he's the last one who left a comment. That's what she said. Uh-huh. I will confess, I didn't know anything about Nukas till I read the comic. And I'd never seen the show, and Nukas in the comic is only kind of interesting, But then when I actually saw the show, and I was just like, this actor, I forget the actor's name who played Nukas. All I kept thinking is, he is saying his lines like he's a traditional superhero. He just happens to be the bad guy. He's even doing things like, when he chases Lester into the comic shop, Zoom Comics, and Lester's getting berated by the shopkeeper lady, and he actually comes in and says, basically is like, sorry, ma'am, and apologizes for him. That was the moment where I'm like, this guy should be playing an OG superhero, not this weird Triceratops bad guy. So we got Christopher Reiner, we got Jamie, we got Mr. Hambrick, we've got Cam. Let me see, got to tend to my children. Bye, guys. Okay, thank you, Cam. We have Justin. Let me see what else. Let's see. I've got nothing else to do. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Justin, for sticking around. And so, Jake, what do we got a comment here? I remember getting the VHS and first saw Nukas and was like, oh, crap. How are they going to beat him? Yeah, I mean, he's an intimidating design. He is actually a character from B-Fighter. He is from the Toei footage. So it's not an original design, but I will confess, I do think that if we're going to talk about the show a little bit, just the handful of episodes I saw, Saban definitely threw money at this thing because they got the costume, they hired an actor, they put makeup on him, and they worked really hard to match what we see of him in the Toei footage. And they did some original special effects for the episode because the worm tanks are in the Toei footage. They're practical effects, and they replicated it with really bad CGI for a couple of scenes. So, like I said, and there's a lot of original footage in this. So this was at a point where obviously Saban was willing to invest a little bit more money in these shows. So I give them credit there for that. Let me see. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, you noticed the shirt. Yeah, Project 86. What you're probably not seeing, for those who don't know, Project 86 is a metal band. Well, I guess more like a hardcore rock band. But what you don't see, and I'll have to take the headphones off here to make this easier, is it's also a G.I. Joe reference. Because that's the Cobra insignia. Let me see. So, Jamie, I have Beetleborgs toys, a Morpher, and a couple of the Zords. Yeah. They were pretty close ties to Power Rangers for that show, from what I can remember, and from what I've been able to put together. But as I said, I do think Power Rangers has had more staying power than Beetleborgs did. But then again, Super Sentai has had way more staying power than Metal Heroes. The Metal Heroes franchise, from what I've been able to piece together, basically went on hiatus, I think in the mid 2000s, and Toei hasn't really done anything with it since. So, see, Mr. Hambrick, yeah, they really need to get the rights to B-Fighter. I want to watch it so bad. I saw a tweet from Discotech where they were saying that, they're talking about their Toku Time label, and they said, yeah, we've put out Space Sheriff Gavin and Kamen Rider Black, and they have the upcoming Kamen Rider Black RX, and they said they are in talks for some more. So there's a good question for anybody who's still here watching this. What do you think Discotech is talking about getting? What are they working to get? Okay, so and before they did Toku Time, they released Just Beyond. So now, and since they started the Toku Time label, we've had Space Sheriff Gavin, Kamen Rider Black, and we got Kamen Rider Black RX coming up. So what else could they be getting? Let me know in the comments. So Justin, VR Troopers must have been a pain for them to splice together 3 different shows. Yeah. From what I understand, it was kind of difficult because unless it was original footage, because each of those 3 characters was from a different Metal Hero show, they typically weren't seen together, I guess, unless they had the costumes and they were filming them together. Let me see. Jamie, at least you kept the turbo bashing to an extreme minimum. Lay off Divatoxic. Oh, come on. Oh, gosh. The comic doesn't really give me a whole lot of place to do it, to do any turbo bashing, Jamie. And I don't really want to open that can of worm tanks right now. Oh, man. You know how I feel about Divatox. I don't need to rehash it here. So, Mr. Reiner, Metalder. I'm trying to remember. So that's one of your guesses for what Discotech's working out. But I forget. Oh, let me look it up. Metalder? Trying to remember what Metalder was. Is that? Oh, crap. I've typed in Metalder and I'm getting anything but Metal Heroes. I'm not spelling it right. Ah, crud. Trying to remember what that. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I spelled it right. Oh, I probably didn't spell it right. That might be it. Metalder. Chojinki Metalder. Okay, that's one of the ones used for VR Troopers. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah, that's one of the ones they used for VR Troopers. That would be a really cool one. I'm glad that people are becoming more aware of VR Troopers, thanks to not VR Troopers, the Metal Heroes, thanks to Discotech. That is very nice of them. So, question here from Justin: did you ever watch Superhero Summer? I did. In fact, I did, Justin. In fact, I was hardcore into Cyber Squad. I collected the toys and everything. I actually gravitated toward that eventually more than I did Power Rangers, which honestly I think is why I love Ultraman as much as I do, because that was a Subaraya production show. And no, it wasn't Ultraman, but Servo, that's what he was called in Cyber Squad. He's Gridman in the original Japanese. He looks a lot like Ultraman. So when I discovered Ultraman, the first thing that I thought was, hey, he looks like Servo. And I do still have a few of the toys for Cyber Squad. I actually parted, you might hate me for this, I parted with a bunch of them because I donated them to a charity auction at G-Fest a couple of years ago, because I was trying to liquidate my toy collection and my the space I was living in at the time. So there have been moments where I've kind of regretted it, but especially as I've been discovering more and about tokusatsu and all that since then, and feeling a little nostalgic for Cyber Squad. I'm going to tell you right now, though, I've watched a few episodes of Gridman, the original Gridman show. The original Gridman show is better than Cyber Squad. Cyber Squad is hard for me to watch. It's really cringy for me personally. The tokusatsu is still great, but oh my gosh, the stuff around it is hard to watch. Oh man. Let me see the Gokaiger. I believe that I want to say that was Gavin. I think that was Gavin on that movie, Jamie. I'm pretty sure it was. Let me see. Jake Hambrick. I've often thought about starting a podcast going through some of the Metal Heroes, Kamen Rider, and Gundam. Do it, man. Do it. Podcasting is so much fun. If you ever have questions about starting a podcast, I would love to help you out with that. If you ever wanted a guest on the show to come on and and talk about any of those, I'm not as well versed in them as I am other things, but I've seen my fair share, and I would love to. I love guesting on other people's podcasts, so let me know. I think that's an interesting selection there. If I may ask, why those three specifically, Metal Heroes, Kamen Rider, and Gundam? I can see the connections between Metal Heroes and Kamen Rider, but Gundam? I mean, other than the fact that the Gundam franchise is about people piloting robots, and Metal Heroes are often robots, not always, but they're often robots, and there's the Toei connection for Kamen Rider. I don't know. I would love to hear more about that. Gridman is also an anime. Yeah, I've seen the first season, I guess. Because there's SS.Gridman, and then they have Dynazeon, and then they did a crossover movie or something like that. I haven't seen Dynazeon yet, but I have seen the Gridman anime, and I did enjoy the Gridman anime. And I actually will be doing a full watch through of the original Gridman Tokusatsu show here pretty soon. My brother and I have been going through a lot of Ultraman shows, together. And so he asked once we got to that point, because we're going through them chronologically, it was like, hey, can we watch Gridman? I was like, oh, sure, we'll watch Gridman. That's fine. It's very Ultraman adjacent, so why not? Yeah. So, do we have any other questions? Oh, we got some more comments coming in. All right, good. Yes, it was Gavin. They showed previews at the end of Gokaiger episodes for the movies. Okay, so you were answering Jamie's question from earlier. Yeah, and if you listen to the Power Trip, you know that Space Sheriff Gavin actually was adapted for Power Rangers. He was Captain Chaku in Beast Morphers, which I just think it's really cool that now Space Sheriff Gavin, a version of Space Sheriff Gavin, is now in Power Rangers. Right up there with having Masked Rider, who was Kamen Rider Black RX, and if you want to count them, the Beetleborgs and the VR Troopers. It was really interesting seeing what Saban was doing in the 90s, buying up all of these Toei superhero shows and giving them this, I think, kind of interesting adaptation treatment. And I think if they had played their cards a little bit better, they would have had, I think, a pretty fun and interesting shared universe. It's just, they just didn't manage it as well as I think they should have. And, to keep all of the shows connected and try to maintain a certain level of quality with all of them. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said that I really do feel like, despite what I might think of Turbo, the Saban's top tier talent was working on Power Rangers. And yeah, and I don't want to bemoan VR Troopers, because I remember VR Troopers being pretty good, and that's actually one that I would gladly watch, because I did watch VR Troopers for a while as a kid, so I would be curious to revisit that one. I just wish the DVDs were a heck of a lot easier to come by anymore. I know you can watch them on YouTube, but it's not the same. I'm a physical media guy. So I would be curious about that. I remember VR Troopers being good. But Past Rider, huge misstep on their part. And I've only watched a few episodes. And I don't find Beetleborgs all that appealing, personally. Other than Nukas. But Nukas is just fun for being ridiculous, but I don't know. Should I start pestering Michael with Nukas instead of Rito from now on? Let me know in the comments. Let's see. No, this was a different one. Okay, because of the blue and yellow Go-Kaigers charge into blue and yellow Beetleborg like characters. I don't know, because I'm not as familiar with Metal Heroes. I'd have to go digging around to find it. Let's see. If I am not mistaken, Ryan Steele from VR Troopers almost became the Gold Ranger. He did. That was somebody they at least considered having the actor who played Ryan Steele. So yeah, he was almost the Gold Ranger, which I think would have been a cool tie-in. But they had, good Lord, they had so many ideas about who the Gold Ranger was going to be. It was ridiculous. That list went on for miles. 4 miles. All right, Justin, do you think Hasbro will work hard to create and maintain a shared universe for Power Rangers? The rumors that are going around now is they won't do it for Power Rangers. They're going to make a Hasbro shared universe. So they're going to have all of their toy properties in the same universe now. So they're going to be hanging out with Transformers and G.I. Joe at the very least. I don't know if there will be any others that they might bring back. G.I. Joe and Transformers are their bread and butter at this point. So, admittedly, that would be kind of exciting. A revamped Power Rangers hanging out with Optimus Prime and Duke from Power Rangers. Rita Repulsa hanging out with Cobra Commander and Megatron. The nerd in me says, sign me up. But as we have seen, if you try to establish a shared cinematic universe, you got to work really hard to make sure it doesn't fall apart. Looking at you, DC. All right. So, Jamie, I've seen the movie of Go-Kaiger where they team up with Gavin. Okay. Mm-hmm. See, not just the actor, but not Chris. Yeah. Yes. In the series, says Justin. Let me see. They changed really quickly. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, Justin. Can you clarify for me a little bit? I'm catching up with the chat. All right. Let's see. Jake, I'll definitely hit you up, but I'm going through all the Gundam series now, and I really just want to talk about it. I never really watched it growing up. That's interesting. There was a time, and unfortunately we haven't been able to keep up with it because, life finds a way, as Ian Malcolm told us. But there was a point where I have a friend who's a really hardcore Gundam fan. He had basically everything. And I said, I want to go through the Universal Century timeline. There's a lot of Gundam shows that are part of that continuity. I want to go through them all in chronological order. And we were doing that for a while. And we got through a lot of it. So I've seen my fair share of Gundam, and I ventured out of the Universal Century and seen some of the stuff that's not part of it. There have been a few other Gundam shows that aren't part of it that I have put serious thought into watching without my friend, because we just haven't been able to keep up with this chronological viewing that we were doing. And I have a couple of other friends who are pretty big into Gundam as well. So if you need recommendations for some other guests to have on your show, I would recommend my friend Dallas Mora, who's been on the Film Vault a few times. He runs Geek Devotions, and he has a podcast called The Gundam Watch. So he has a Gundam show as well. So if you need something to listen to kind of get a feeling for what a Gundam podcast is like, there's that one for you. I've listened to some of it. So I highly recommend. And like I said, Dallas is a great guy. I highly recommend Dallas. Can't recommend Dallas enough there. So, but I'm still wanting to know what's the connection between, unless I just didn't quite catch it, what's the connection between Kamen Rider, Metal Heroes, and Gundam? I really would like to know. And also, I hope you come up with a really cool title, especially with with franchises like that. You need a really cool title to go, to go along with that. One of the first things I'll tell you that you want to do for a podcast is come up with a really good name. Because you need to come up with something unique that will be easy to find and will stand out from the crowd. Admittedly, even though I love the Power Trip and I think it's a good name, Michael and I found out that we're not the first podcast to be called the Power Trip. There is another. That's why we had to tack on the subtitle, A Journey Through the Power Rangers franchise. And for this season's Power Trip 2, Taisaku Sentai Power Ranger, it was a little bit of a joke. But we had to do that because there is actually already a podcast called Power Trip. It's a sports podcast, so it's very different, but still, as I think I've mentioned before, Power Trip was a bit of a joke and a bit of an inside joke between Michael and I. If you listen to some of the older episodes of Kaiju Weekly, when Michael was first going through the Power Rangers franchise during quarantine on his own, I joked, because I was a regular listener of Kaiju Weekly, that he was going on his power trip. It's puntastic like that. So all that to say, make sure you have a really, really good name. Anyway, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone else has more comments or questions that they would like to throw at me. It doesn't have to be specific about what we talked about tonight or about the Power Trip. If you want to ask me about some other things about the other podcasts I do or about the audio drama or whatever, got a couple of minutes. What do you got for me? Till I see some more comments, I'm just going to sit here and vamp. Do you really want to put up with me for the next couple of minutes just vamping? I mean, I'll do it, but don't know if you want that. Let me see. X that page off. Let's see. So, what's your take on the current canon? Oh boy. You're talking about the Disney era Star Wars? Oh man, that I can't answer that in a couple of minutes. I will say this: I'm not as vitriolically negative about it as some people are, as a lot of people are. I was actually I'm actually somebody who will gladly defend The Last Jedi. I have a defense of The Last Jedi, which I will not get into here. And I do like The Mandalorian. And I did like Rogue One. But I will say, even though I will defend The Last Jedi, I am no fool. And I will tell you that I don't think the sequel trilogy was handled as well as it should have been. They flew by the seat of their pants way too much. And I know that is a thing in the writing world. We call them pantsers. Stephen King does it. Which explains a lot of things about Stephen King. But for something like this, it's not you got to plan something that big out. So I think that was a mistake on their part. And aside from Rogue One and The Mandalorian, the overall quality of what we've been getting from Disney has been subpar. And people like Kathleen Kennedy and some of the people who are involved with Star Wars now, who are running Star Wars, keep saying incredibly stupid things that do not ingratiate themselves to any of the fans. So I totally understand why people are upset with them, and they have every right to be upset with them. When I hear the stupid things that they say, I'm like, you are not helping things. You are not making me want to defend what you're doing. So like I said, I am no fool. The original trilogy is the GOAT and will always be the GOAT. You can't top that. You just can't. And I do think people are now retroactively more appreciative of the prequels. I don't think the prequels are as strong as the original trilogy either. They have their own set of problems, but the sequel trilogy is plagued by a different set of problems, unfortunately. But the original trilogy benefited from the fact that George Lucas understood what his limitations were and was able to surround himself with people who could offset those to make something that I do think is truly special. But, I'm of the age where Star Wars is a big deal. Just is, But anyway, it is now 9:00. Thanks a lot for sticking around. I'm going to go check on Michael to find out what Tim was bugging him about so much. So we'll be getting this episode out into the podcast feed hopefully soon. And so we got one more comment here from Mr. Hambrick. There's not a connection other than the mecha, but I just really find all of the franchises interesting. Okay. Thank you for answering that question right before I sign off. But the only other thing that I'll mention, I did see it in the chat really quick. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but tomorrow is my birthday. So, was glad to spend a little bit of time for my birthday with all of you here and with Michael recording a podcast. So thanks a lot for dropping by and putting up with all of our shenanigans. And, I guess now I have a new character with which to annoy Michael. I don't know what's worse, Nukas or Rito. Oh, this is going to be too much fun. Too much fun. See ya.